Alonzo Thinks is a wide-ranging discussion where you get to hear your boy wax poetic on everything from music, film, sports, politics, current events, you name it, and I'm going to speak on it. And today, I'm going to talk about something that's near and dear and close to my heart, and that's Prince. I'm a big-time PRiNCe fan. Anyone who's known me for 10 seconds knows that I consider myself one of the world's biggest PRiNCe fans, but then again, I'm sure everybody who's a big fan of PRiNCE considers themselves to be the number one PRiNCE fan in the world. So, hell, I'm no different. But what I'm going to do today is start my series on Prince's albums. I am going to review every album from the first to the very last. And before I jump into it, I'm going to speak a little bit about Prince as far as my take on him and his career as far as what happened. My take is he's the best ever. He's the GOAT. And I don't care what happened to him. I don't care how he passed away or anything like that. None of my business. All I care about was his talent and his music. And one of my favorite sayings is, when it comes to Prince as of today, he's not dead. He just stopped making music. That being said, let's get into it. His first album is titled For You. It was released April 7th, 1978. And Prince was an anomaly back then because you got this teenager who played every instrument on the album, wrote, produced, did everything. And that was really strange for that time because the record companies had so much power back then and they really had a lot of control over their artists. But Prince, he was an anomaly. He broke the mold. He did his own thing from day one, which is one of the reasons why I guess a lot of folks, fans like myself, really were really drawn to him because he was such an individual. He did so much of his own thing that you couldn't help but admire his swag. So that being said, let's jump into the album. Now, like I said, the album was released on April 7th, 1978, and it was released to very little fanfare. Nobody knew who he was. He's just this young kid with a falsetto, black kid from Minneapolis, Minnesota, plays guitar. This is during the disco era. So he wasn't a real big deal back then. Nobody really cared about him. And I think a lot of people, especially black audiences, were kind of, may have been kind of turned off by him because he is during the disco era and he's a new artist. He plays guitar. He was just different. And it took a minute to kind of get to know the guy and to appreciate what he was trying to offer in the unique way that he decided to go by it. So when it comes to an album like For You, it is definitely an acquired taste. I loved it. I absolutely positively loved it. And this is the album that made me a lifelong Prince fan. When I heard the very first single from it, which is Soft and Wet, and that came out, it was released on June 7th, 1978, which is Prince's birthday, incidentally. And that was the first song that I had heard from the album. And back then, I didn't know what Soft and Wet meant. I was a kid. I didn't know it was a nasty song, so to speak. It was just a song that sounded groovy. I liked the voice. I thought he was a girl at first. But it was a catchy tune that made me realize, hey, this guy has got something to say, and this cat is different, so I'm going to check him out. And thankfully, I did. But what I'm going to do as far as the album itself, I'm going to go through each track one by one, spit my thoughts on that particular track, and just keep it moving that way. Well, first of all, the album has nine tracks on it. So it's a very short album. It's only like 30 some odd minutes long. Back then, it wasn't uncommon to have full album with 10 tracks, maybe even less than 10 tracks. I mean, for example, I think the Times first album had 6 tracks on it. 6. Usually nowadays you get, 6 tracks, on side A, so to speak, or whatever, on an album. But yeah, the whole album was 6 tracks. So back then, having only 9 tracks on your album wasn't anything that was out of the ordinary. The first song is For You, which is the title track from the album. And it's not really even a song. It's just basically introduction where he introduces himself to the world. So it's cute. It's nice. It's a nice little harmony. Nothing, nothing groundbreaking or anything like that. But I like it. So the next song is In Love. Track 2 is In Love. And once again, it's just a harmless little ditty. Really pretty nondescript song. It's you can tell it's something that was written by a young kid who don't really know much about anything just yet. So he's basically just singing about what he knows, and he's singing about being in love as a young teen. It's a good song. Nothing special about it. It's just a nice harmless song. Then comes Soft and Wet, which even for its time was really edgy, and especially when you got someone like PRiNCe, this young cat out of nowhere singing this nasty stuff. You're like, hey, wait a minute, this cat is on to something. Soft and Wet was a minor pop hit. It made the top 100, but I don't think it even got past. I think it got as high as 90 or 80 or something like that on the pop chart. But it was a R&B hit. It made it to the top. It made it to number 12 on the R&B chart, which is fine. It's a nice. Once again, it's a nice introduction. It's a nice disco type swing beat to it. But you can tell that you were in for something with PRiNCe moving forward. So that was the great thing about Soft and Wet, is that it was a precursor to Dirty Mind and Head and some of the stuff he did 3 or 4 albums down the road. It was definitely the opening to that door into the freaky side of my man. The next track is Crazy You. Now Crazy You has been sampled a lot. And it's once again it's just a ditty. Nothing really special about it, but the dun 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 dun. That's a nice little hook there. It's a nice little riff, and it's been sampled a lot. And that's one of the things about Crazy You that really stands out. Other than that, it's short. Nice harmony, nice melody, and by the way, PRiNCE does all the vocals on this album as well. So it's a good song. Just As Long As We're Together was the second release from the album as a single. It was a flop as far as a single goes. I think it made the top 100 as far as on the R&B side. I don't think it even charted. I don't think it even charted on the pop charts. I think it's the longest song on the album. Yeah, it is. It's the longest song on the album, and you can tell it's more of a studio jam than an actual single. So I'm kind of surprised it ever got released as a single, because he's not really saying much in this other than really jamming, and it's a great jam as far as him in the studio just kind of laying down riffs and laying down tracks and everything, and it had more of a disco feel to it as well. But it's Just As Long As We're Together. It's a good song. Nothing great about it. Just once again, and the whole album itself is nothing super special. It's just good songs that's opening you up to what's to come in the future. Next is Baby. Now, Baby was one of my favorite songs from the album, and he's basically talking about him and his girlfriend getting pregnant and them deciding to keep the baby. It's a nice slow song, and it's him with his falsetto, and it's a really, really good song to listen to. I still listen to it to this day. It's just a really good song. Next up is My Love Is Forever. Now, My Love Is Forever holds a special place in my heart as well, because it's a song that me and a girl that I dated way back in the day listened to a lot, and I kind of use that song as my expression of my feelings for her at that time. So that's what kind of stands out to me. He's basically, once again, is telling his girlfriend that he's going to love her forever no matter what happens. He's always going to love her, even after he dies. He's still going to love her. He'll always be there for her. Followed by So Blue, which is kind of an interesting song, because from Baby, him confessing his love to his girlfriend, that they're going to stay together and have a baby together, then My Love Is Forever, I'm Gonna Love You Forever, and then So Blue is about the breakup of a relationship and how it makes him feel so blue, and how his heart is broken, and how he's basically pining for this female. So I think this is the arc of the album. I'm not saying it's a concept album, because it's not, but it's the arc of the album where he kind of digs into his relationship stuff, and once again, it's an opening into his what he has to offer in the future as far as being able to craft together a work of art in his music. And the albums having an overarching theme that he ties together through the songs. And finally is I'm Yours. I'm Yours is one of my favorite Prince songs of all time. Not a lot of people have heard it. It's a rock song where he is just going berserk on the lead guitar. It is a great song. It's the best song on the album by far, and I listen to it to this day. I listen to it all the time, and it's a great close to the album. And it opens them. I think it's something that opened him up to white audiences as well, because back then guitar rock was really big, and to have a guitar rock song on the album, I think was a great way to show his diversity as an artist. And like I said, it opens him up to a wider audience, of course, and I'm sure that was something that they probably discussed over at Warner Brothers, and something that they kind of agreed upon that he needed to put on his first album. Interesting story. When I was in the military, I was in tech school many years ago. I was in the Air Force, and I'm in the game room playing pool by myself, just shooting some pool. Had my boom box. Remember boom boxes? Had my boom box in the game room, and I was playing this album, the cassette tape, and I'm Yours is playing, and I got the volume up, and this guy comes in. His name was Clancy. Back then, his last name was Clancy. In the military, you refer to everybody by their last name. Anyways, Clancy comes in, and he wants to shoot pool with me or whatever, and I'm Yours is playing, and Prince is just getting buck nutty on the guitar. And I remember Clancy looking up at me and is like, "Who is that?" And this is in the late 80s. He's like, "Who is that?" I'm like, "Dude, that's Prince." He said, "For real?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "That's from his first album." He said, No way." I said, "Yeah." He said, "That is great. I never heard that before." And that kind of stuck with me, how that song was so dope and so gangster that just hearing those riffs and hearing him get buck nutty on the guitar really makes you stop and listen to it. And I dare anyone to listen to this song and not focus on it, because it is that good. It is really good song. You need to listen to it sometime. I'm Yours. And that is the album itself. That's 1 through 9 for you. So to summarize, Prince's first album, For You, released April 7th, 1978. It was a minor hit. The album is certified gold, so it did sell 500,000 copies. It took a long time to get to it, so it wasn't a huge hit, but it was a great introduction to the world. It made me a fan for life. I'm sure it made a lot of other people a fan for life as well. It was a great lead into his second album titled PRiNCe, which had I Want to Be Your Lover on it. And I think a lot of people think that was Prince's first album, the one with I Want to Be Your Lover on it, the blue album cover where he's on the back on the Pegasus butt naked. But no, For You is the first album. And you see from this photo montage here, he had the big Angela Davis afro back then. His hair wasn't processed and laid down just yet. He had the big whopping afro. He's 17, 18 years old. He's a kid doing his thing. Recapping a lot of great tunes on this album. I highly suggest I'm Yours, of course, Soft and Wet, Crazy You, Baby, My Love Is Forever are those standout tracks. But one thing I can always say about Prince, especially his first 8 or 9 albums, I'm hard pressed to find a bad song on any album that he did. I think up until like Diamonds and Pearls, like the first album where I was like, wait a minute, he got some whack shit. But Prince's early albums, every song had a redeeming quality to it. And that is one of the biggest things I can say about For You. It's not a great album as far as just from a cohesive standpoint, but it's a great album if you're a Prince fan and you want to dig deep into what he's all about and how he gets down. So I highly recommend it. If you're a Prince fan, you haven't heard it, shame on you. You're not really a Prince fan, move on. But if you're not a Prince fan, or you're just a tepid Prince fan, only listen to the hits, and you want to learn more about him, get more into his stuff, start with For You. Listen to it from beginning to end. I guarantee you by the time you get to track 9, I'm Yours, you'll be a fan. And that is it. That's what I got to say. That's what Lonzo thinks when it comes to Prince, For You. Check it out. I love the album. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, comment below. Hit me up, whatlonzothinks@gmail.com, www.whatlonzothinks. Hit me up on Twitter at whatlonzothinks. Hit me up on Patreon. Drop a few bucks on me. Support me. Support the creatives on Patreon, not just myself, all the creatives. That's how we get down. That's how we get loot to keep doing what we do. Once again, this is What Lonzo Thinks, and I'll hit you up later. Bye.